This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Printed hate. A yearbook from a Halifax high school is being recalled over an anti-Semitic message. Demo-viction. A Halifax landlord tears down a building while a tenant's eviction dispute is still active. And the owner of this historic Eastern Shore Inn looks to safeguard its 100-year legacy.
Another nice start on Thursday, but the clouds increasing and some wet weather building in as we roll through Thursday night. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. Nova Scotia High School had to issue an apology after an anti-Semitic message was printed in its yearbook. It was a coded phrase in quotes attributed to students. And as the CBC's Sabrina Fabian explains, this is raising a lot of questions about how they made it to print.
Just days before graduation at this Halifax high school, a stunning find in the student yearbook, a coded anti-Semitic message attributed to a member of the graduating class.
Disbelief that it flew by the committee and was in the book.
Nellie Spoker's son attends the school, and her grandparents were Holocaust survivors.
It pains to see the rise and the ease that those words are being used, and without kind of thinking of consequences.
The yearbook entry features a sort of shorthand or meme used to deny the scope of the Holocaust. First, it dismisses the figure 6 million, the documented number of Jewish lives lost, then offers a number 20 times smaller.
I've looked up the quote and any alternations of what it could be, and there's nothing. It's the only one meaning.
This Holocaust and genocide scholar says the smaller number first surfaced in the 1950s and was popularized again in the 80s. It's now used online by Holocaust deniers.
I hear ignorance of which perhaps the student and maybe even the teachers are not quite aware of the harmful impact of such ignorant statements.
It's not an isolated incident. This Toronto high school is recalling its yearbook over a different coded neo-Nazi message. And there was a similar incident in Pittsburgh. Experts say Holocaust denialism spiked online during the pandemic and again after the October 7th attacks. And that students are likely hoping the messages are so obscure they'll fly under the radar for most.
The sorts of content that they've been reproducing in the yearbooks is coming from internet memes, things that have gone viral that in the last few years have been becoming increasingly common.
In both Halifax and Toronto, yearbooks are being recalled and reprinted. Principals have apologized, but neither school is offering an explanation about how the phrases slipped through undetected. Sabrina Fabian, CBC News, Halifax.
Imagine watching your home of 7 years being torn down before your eyes while a legal decision about your eviction is still up in the air. That is the nightmare a Halifax tenant recently faced when her landlord began demolishing her apartment building. Alex Guy has that story.
I don't even know what to say. I can't process what I'm seeing.
Shayla Bento reacting to her home of 7 years being demolished in real time.
I either had to stay in the building and take whatever risks came with that or leave the building.
She was one of 24 tenants told they needed to leave the building on Westerwald Street in Halifax because it was being demolished. Bento was on a periodic lease, so to evict her, the landlord, R.C. Jane, was required to file for eviction with the residential tenancy program. The landlord filed that back in April. A hearing took place earlier this month, and while the officer was deliberating, demolition on the building began.
It was Wednesday last week when the hole was put in the exterior wall. The doors were disconnected, so I wasn't even able to get in the building to get to my unit.
Bento called police and was informed she would need to leave. She went in to get her cats and a few valuables, then left to stay with family for the night before returning in the morning for the rest of her belongings.
I have felt more helpless this week than ever before in my life.
A ruling dated June 12th, 2 days after work started, states that Bento should have had until September 30th to leave.
We have a clear order saying that the tenant was supposed to be able to remain in that unit until September 30th. And the landlord took it upon themselves to tear the building down anyway. So yes, there was a direct contravention of that order.
Bento reached out to Acorn, a nonprofit housing advocacy group, for help, and a rally was planned to help raise awareness.
If nothing else comes out of this, I want to make sure that this can't happen to other people.
CBC made several attempts to reach the landlord before deadline, but did not receive a response. Alex Guy, CBC News, Halifax.
The executive director of the Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia is calling on the government to increase its support for groups that provide non-market housing. The province's 5-year housing action plan was on the agenda at Public Accounts today. Michael Cablin of the Affordable Housing Association was part of a group of witnesses at the legislature. The association also released a report Wednesday showing that supportive housing is cheaper and a more effective way of managing chronic homelessness than correction services, emergency shelters, and hospital beds.
The real solution is more affordable housing permanently, and then people will never have to experience homelessness. So I said earlier, we want homelessness to be rare, brief, and non-recurring. We can't do that without enough supportive housing and enough affordable housing so that people never have to face it in the first place.
Cablin says the government's investment to date in supportive housing has proven results and provides a path to stability people would not receive otherwise. Meanwhile, a Cape Breton University professor wants to know where Nova Scotia's homelessness prevention strategy is. It was promised 3 years ago, but the provincial government won't say when the first of its kind plan will be released. Josh Hoffman has more.
It's been nearly 3 years since the province said it would develop its first ever homeless prevention strategy. But advocates say they haven't heard a word about it since. The strategy was promised in Nova Scotia's latest housing plan, released in 2023.
I interpreted that as an acknowledgement that the province recognized that there were systems in place that were preventing people from staying securely housed, and that it needed to develop something comprehensive in order to prevent people from falling into homelessness.
Leviton Reid's optimism has waned, though, as the province now says there's no timeline for when the strategy might be complete. The Cape Breton University professor says preventative work is essential when it comes to dealing with the complex issues that cause homelessness. And a plan would create clear goals and accountability for the province.
Because if we don't have a target, we don't really know where we're going. We don't know how to budget appropriately for it.
A Dalhousie University social work professor says the province is investing more money into homeless initiatives, but their priorities aren't always right. He says the province is spending a lot of money on shelters, which are necessary, but a reactive, not proactive solution.
Yes, they're investing in shelters, and that's very important for emergency care, but we've invested way too much in the kind of emergency crisis arena and very little in terms of prevention.
But provincial staff do believe the current approach to homelessness is making a difference.
We are seeing significant progress across the province. If we talk about HRM, for example, just a few years ago, there were well over 200 people residing in encampments and unsheltered within HRM. That number last week was down just below 50.
Smith says the most successful way the province prevents people from becoming homeless is funding to support those who are at risk of losing their home. She says the Nova Scotia government recently increased that funding from $1 million a year to $2.4 million. Josh Hoffman, CBC News, Halifax.
Premier Tim Houston is urging Nova Scotians to participate in the province's new Home Share program for people with disabilities. The Home Share program will match participants in the province's disability support program with a provider in their community. The participant can either move in with the provider or vice versa. Today in Enfield, the Premier announced the province will partner with 10 community organizations to oversee the program. We have a correction to make on a story we brought you on June 15th about AI and publishing. The story said that McIntyre Purcell Publishing used AI to generate and scramble words in some puzzles in a puzzle book. McIntyre Purcell Publishing says they do not publish AI-generated material, and the information was provided to Nimbus in error. And we've got Ryan with a first look at the weather. So it felt pretty summery right across the province today.
It really did. It was a terrific day. A little summer preview, Amy.
We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Summer, of course, officially kicking off on Sunday. So we're expecting these days to become a little more frequent. We'll talk about the weekend and what that might hold for the official start of summer with that 7-day forecast in a few minutes. First and foremost, let's look at the temperatures for Thursday. And another very warm day across the northeast of the province and back into the valley as well. Along the Atlantic coastline, it's a southerly wind tomorrow. That's going to be, bringing in some cooler temperatures along the coastline especially. Also going to be bringing in the chances for a few showers and a little bit of drizzle into the afternoon. It's on the leading edge of this next system, which is going to be rolling in. And you can see a couple of spotty showers along the warm front Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. More widespread wet weather overnight into Friday, but we are clearing. Your full forecast details are coming up.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is recommending Ottawa take a closer look at uncertified vessels after the Titan submersible imploded on a descent to the Titanic wreck nearly 3 years ago. The board released a report today examining the disaster that killed all 5 people on board. The report says Transport Canada knew the Titan was operating out of St. John's with support from Canadian vessels. However, it said the department did not provide effective oversight of the Titan's operations. The Safety Board recommends the department come up with a plan on how to determine whether an uncertified vessel poses a safety risk and then monitor that vessel. The report also says Titan's carbon fiber hull, which was cylindrical rather than the standard spherical shape, was likely damaged by each dive to the Titanic until it finally exploded on June 18, 2023. Well, for over a century, an historic inn on Nova Scotia's eastern shore has served as a beloved community hub. Now, its dedicated caretaker is stepping away. And as the CBC's Vernon Rameser reports, she's hoping to find the perfect replacement.
This inn on Nova Scotia's eastern shore has been a landmark and community hub for more than 100 years. It's been lovingly cared for by Margaret Veschler since 2012. Now, she's looking to pass it on, but only to the right person.
It was forever an inn in the past, and it should go like this into the future. It is meant to be an inn.
Veschler came to Nova Scotia with her family from Germany over 30 years ago. She often drove by the empty inn.
Somehow I think the building was pulling me in. It wanted me to do something with it, but we never had the finances to do it. And the real estate person said, you only know when you try.
On Mother's Day in 2012, she became an innkeeper.
I see that I'm really only the caretaker of the building. I don't have the feeling, I never had, that I own it. It's only I have to be there, take care about it, and pass it on.
The original structure was built in 1853. It became an inn in 1920. For nearly 70 years, it was a base camp for hunters and travellers. After a brief closure, Veschler reopened it with an expanded restaurant which now blends German favourites with traditional Nova Scotia fare. But she says she never catered to tourists.
I want to cater to my locals, and this saved us at COVID because all of them helped us not to close. And they are proud of their inn. I think it's their inn.
While she's made the inn a sanctuary, Veschler has also fostered more than 80 children since she's been in Nova Scotia. And she plans to continue.
Kids give you strength. Kids are wonderful, and I think that every child on this earth needs a home. And if they don't have a home, people who have a home should open it to them.
But she's about to turn 70. Her husband has had health setbacks, and she feels it's time to sell to someone who will keep its history going.
I will walk out with tears. But life is going on.
Veschler says she's willing to wait until the perfect buyer comes through, because that's what caretakers do. Vernon Rameser, CBC News, head of Jador.
Would you pay $30,000 for 6 vintage signs from Southwest Nova Scotia? Well, somebody just did. These 1920s painted metal signs promoting an old pharmacy in Yarmouth sold at an auction house in Ontario. The signs promote products like medications for humans and pets, soda, and toiletries. They belong to L.C. Gardner & Co. druggist. Auctioneers say these types of signs with the style of artwork are a pretty hot commodity. Nice looking evening over Halifax Harbour. Ryan is up next with full weather forecast. Do stay with us. And we've got Ryan back with his full weather forecast. So another nice day today. So counting our blessings, but things turning a bit unsettled after this. Yeah, definitely more showers in the forecast moving forward. The wettest time period, I think, thankfully, will be Thursday night. That's what we want, right? Right. It's rain at night. We're absolutely. And that will time out nicely, clearing nicely for Friday, and then just we're gonna have to keep the umbrella handy, I think, Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday afternoons as well. But we'll see a taste of sunshine throughout the weekend. Let's have first and foremost a look at
beautiful Peggy's Cove.
That looks great, doesn't it?
Yes, the scene on Wednesday afternoon was a busy spot, as you can see. All day. And of course, Peggy's is only going to get busier as we move into the peak summer season. High temperatures at Peggy's and around Halifax today, 26 degrees, 26 at Halifax Airport and Kentville and Greenwood and Kedgie. That was the magic number. 26 in Shelburne as well, pretty close to it in places like Parsboro and Antigonish, and a nice day in Cape Breton. You can see cooler temperatures for Victoria County in those onshore winds, and a little active across the board with the bubble up cloud cover and a couple of very isolated showers. Certainly not out of the question for the next few hours as we walk you through the timeline in just a moment. But this really is the next system that we're watching, and that is going to be moving into the region as we move throughout the day on Thursday. Shifting our winds to more southerly, going to increase the moisture. We'll see fog patches setting up along the coastline, and we are going to be seeing that chance for showers and drizzle increasing throughout Thursday afternoon, especially in the southwest as this next system does get set to roll in. Okay, so tonight temperatures are going to be in and around the 10 to 12 range for most of us. Looks like more like 7 to 11 or 12 in through most of Cape Breton. Chance for an isolated evening shower for eastern parts of the mainland and into Cape Breton. That chance will really taper as we move after midnight. And not much being picked up even on the hour by hour. It's around 30% or less chance that one of those showers rolls through your backyard. And as we look ahead into Thursday morning, we're going to see some fog patches setting up along the coastline. And overall, though, a pretty quiet start to Thursday. That fog will retreat back to the coast. We're going to be seeing lots of sunshine, really from start to finish for Cape Breton. Across the mainland, it's lots of sunshine in the morning, and then watch the clouds starting to work their way in from west to east as we move into the afternoon. That cloud deck will roll in. Looks like the wet weather, even by around 3-4 p.m., will still be on the doorstep. An hour or two will make a big difference, but it does look like it's going to hold off and then push its way in through that late afternoon, early evening time period with some of those leading edge showers along the edge of this frontal boundary, with the wetter weather holding off until we move into the overnight Thursday and into early Friday. Temperatures for tomorrow with those southwest winds, we're talking about 17 to St. Peter's, 16 in Ingonish, but overall it is going to be into the low 20s across most of the island. Similar story, eastern shore, cooler sea breezes, but the Northumberland shore will be smooth sailing tomorrow with temperatures into the mid-20s. That chance for an evening shower for Halifax, certainly into the mix there, so I did put it on the icons. And back towards the west, a better chance for some of those late afternoon showers starting to roll through here. Those southerly winds keeping temperatures cooler along the Atlantic coastline. We're nicely into the mid-20s across the valley. Note rainfall outlook. New Brunswick getting a solid drink from this one. Nova Scotia, 5 to 15 millimeters, perhaps a bit more for Cape Breton, but really not a lot to write home about, unfortunately. We want the wet weather when we can get it. We'll take it. Note Friday afternoon. That front pushes off to the north, and we are going to be seeing a pretty nice Friday afternoon shaping up. Temperatures bumping up into the low to mid-20s for most of us, so a pretty nice end to the week. The theme for the weekend is going to be unsettled. Sun and cloud, chance for some pop-up showers for both Saturday and Sunday as this cooler pocket of air moves in aloft. And what that will mean is just that things are going to be unsettled for both Saturday and for Father's Day, and summer beginning on Sunday. High teens, a few low 20s. But one of those weekends, Amy, where we're going to be able to get out, but you're going to want to keep an eye on the radar and keep that umbrella handy.
We'll get there someday, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Well, a new exhibit is uncovering the bleak history of Kings County poor farms. Forgotten Voices exposes 200 years of poverty and desolation in Nova Scotia's past. Have a look.
Poor farms were essentially the rural answer to poor houses, which were sort of catch-all institutions for society's most vulnerable and marginalized people. Despite what the intentions were behind these institutions, and I think that that's a complicated subject in and of itself. These places were chronically underfunded, under-resourced, and understaffed, and so inmates were frequently neglected. And the conditions were very poor, both sanitation-wise, they were very crowded. There are records of poor houses and poor farms being frequently overrun with mice, lice, bed bugs. So the idea, I suppose, was that the inmates would have like this sort of sense of personal responsibility by growing their own food and working the land and stuff like that. However, most of these people who were staying in these institutions were, again, elderly, feeble, had disabilities, or were just generally not well. So the level of productivity on these farms was fairly low. So we have records showing that they did still have to order food and other supplies to the farms, even though they did have these individuals working on the farms producing food as well. These are primarily a collection of invoices related to the poor farms in Kings County. This is a letter from a woman named Jane Morris, who did stay at the Cornwallis Township Poor Farm. And in this letter, Jane writes to one of her friends, basically expressing that she's not feeling very well, she's getting old, she has a lot of pain, and she's just basically really suffering these days. But she's so grateful that at least she doesn't have to go back to the poor farm. I asked a friend of mine, who is actually an art director at a graphic design firm, to create these images for me. So these are digital creations rather than historical photographs. However, they were created using the research that I developed over the last several months. There were brief moments of joy and enjoyment as well. We found some records of residents enjoying ice cream every Saturday night that was made for them by the staff, of enjoying games like checkers and chess, listening to a gramophone on the weekends. So I really want to give like a more, I guess, nuanced interpretation of these places, because almost nothing in life is normally fully good or fully bad. So even though I think overall this system failed to adequately meet the needs of the people who relied on it, there were still, as tends to happen with humanity, moments of joy and community and friendship that did shine through.
Coming up, a parliamentary committee is recommending against the expansion of MAID for mental illness. A special parliamentary committee will recommend Ottawa indefinitely pause the expansion of medical assistance in dying for people whose sole underlying condition is a mental illness. Unless Parliament intervenes, that expansion is set to take effect in March. And for more on this, we're joined by former Senator Stan Kutcher. So you have strongly pushed for the expansion of MAID to include those with mental illness. What is your reaction to the committee's recommendation?
Well, first of all, I think that all Canadians need to understand that the issues related to MAID are issues that deal with the autonomy of people, that deal with charter rights of all Canadians to be treated equally. And those are the fundamental issues related to MAID. The reference that was promised in a previous parliament was to address whether or not the healthcare system had the capacity and the competencies to be able to deal with this issue. And I'm concerned that the current joint committee wandered off course and tried to relitigate Carter, which is an issue for the Supreme Court, not an issue for a joint committee.
Well, as an expert in mental health, why do you feel MAID should be extended to those with a sole mental illness?
Well, look, we've been down this road before in Canada. And at different times in our country, we have criminalized, because MAID is around criminalization of a medical procedure. We have criminalized various aspects of medicine related to autonomy of persons and to bodily functions. For example, contraception was criminalized. It was criminal to even suggest to someone that they should have contraception, and it was only decriminalized in 1969. The woman's right to choose was criminalized, and that required a Supreme Court decision, which was in 1988. The issue around MAID is whether a person who has tried every form of treatment that they find acceptable to them and that are reasonable to try to apply for an assessment for medical assistance in dying, the same way that an individual with any other illness who has exhausted all avenues for their improvement would have the opportunity to apply. So that's what the issue around MAID is, in my opinion. It's around the sanctity of an individual. It's around the equal access to all aspects of healthcare, and it is around decriminalizing the procedure of MAID for people with a mental disorder.
Well, what are you hearing from your former colleagues in the Senate? We understand there will be a dissenting opinion issued.
Well, I don't think it will be a surprise that the 4 senators who are independent and who are looking at this issue more objectively will issue dissenting opinions. That's what happened at the last joint committee. The 4 senators issued dissenting opinions. There have been issues raised, and they're public, about the impartiality of the committee, about the capacity of the committee to look at all sides of this issue with compassion and without predetermined perspectives. It's well known that the co-chairs of the committee have been strong advocates for getting rid of MAID for people with a mental disorder. So there is a question about the impartiality of the committee. There's a question about the quality of the work that the committee has done. And in my understanding, and I could be wrong, but in my understanding, the committee refused to hear from individuals who are suffering from a mental disorder and who would consider being assessed, applied to be assessed for MAID. And I have never, in my short history, albeit short history as a parliamentarian, experienced a situation in which a joint committee, which is supposed to look at an issue objectively, has refused to hear from people who would be most affected. So that's a concern.
Opponents often point to Europe, and what have you heard about the actual experiences of European countries that allowed maids solely for mental illness?
Well, I think here again, the committee was very selective in choosing people who were opposed to this without hearing equally from people who are not opposed to this issue. And so the issue around Made in Canada is whether or not the healthcare system is ready and able and competent to be able to provide these kind of assessments for people with a mental disorder. So again, my concern is in watching the work of the committee from afar is I have substantive concerns about the quality of the evidence that the committee has gathered and the impartiality of members of the committee.
Do you expect this issue will ultimately have to be decided in the courts?
I think the Parliament has shown itself incapable of dealing with this issue. I think a reference to the Supreme Court will be necessary. I have heard arguments, and again, I'm not a lawyer and definitely not a constitutional lawyer. I have heard arguments that the exclusion of assessment for MAID for people who have mental illness as a sole underlying condition is a narrowing of the Carter decision, not an expansion of the Carter decision. I know that when this has gone to courts, both in Alberta and in Quebec, both courts found in favor of people who are seeking assessment for MAID. So I think that the Supreme Court will probably have to weigh in on this because Parliament seems to be incapable of dealing with it.
All right, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it.
And thank you for taking the time to think critically about this very, very important topic.
Coming up, the G7 summit wraps in France without an official bilateral meeting between Carney and Trump. And the Liberal government's long-promised reforms to Canada's bail and sentencing legislation are now law. Welcome back. New details are coming to light about the interim peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke at length about the deal at the end of the G7 summit in France, declaring it a win for him, despite huge financial gains for Iran in the billions after the agreement is signed. Sasha Petrusik reports.
With the G7 summit wrapping up, relief from leaders that the Iran conflict seems to be ending, its huge economic impact possibly waning.
We're very pleased with the deal that's been struck.
It's a brief memorandum of understanding, vague on many issues and yet to be signed. But for U.S. President Donald Trump,
we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more.
the deal does declare fighting in Iran and Lebanon over, and the strategic Strait of Hormuz reopened, toll-free for ships for at least 60 days as a start, enough to bring global oil prices down in response. But while it says Iran promises never to produce nuclear weapons, a key Trump demand, those details are left to ongoing negotiations.
If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. You know, I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to.
But I think the follow-up...
Arms control experts say the bigger danger is that the issue will never get resolved.
Because there is a risk that President Trump will declare victory, decide that he no longer wants to be entangled in Iran or focus on Iran, and move on to whatever crisis he creates next.
In exchange for its commitments, Iran will get permission to sell as much oil as it wants and keep the profits, a huge windfall. There will also be talks on lifting economic sanctions on Iran and the prospect of $300 billion in help for reconstruction. Other Trump demands at the start of the war, doing away with Iran's theocratic dictatorship and all its ballistic missiles, well, those are barely mentioned. Getting rid of the missiles was a key demand from Israel, but now dismissed by Trump.
It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
He also rebuked Israel for going too far in its attacks on Lebanon, reacting to rockets and drones fired by Iran's proxy there, Hezbollah. Israel has not responded to the Memorandum of Understanding, vowing not to stop military operations in Lebanon. As for Iran, a spokesman says the deal is on track for a signing later this week, possibly by Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian in person. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Washington.
The G7 summit in France has ended without an official bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Trump. But Carney is warning not to read too much into that. David Cochran has more on what the Prime Minister had to say to journalists after the summit.
Prime Minister Mark Carney leaves the G7 without that formal one-on-one meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. But the Prime Minister insists it's not an issue.
I wouldn't take a big message from that. I had 7 or 8 discussions with President Trump over the course of the last 36 hours. I'll have more today, a wide range of subjects from the economy, relations, his birthday, artificial intelligence, Ukraine, obviously Iran, the aspects of the deal and the next steps there and how Canada can help. And good discussions with the president. So I wouldn't take a big message from it.
Trump's only one-on-one meeting with a G7 leader was with the host, President Emmanuel Macron of France, which is the tradition at these summits. His other meetings were with the leaders of the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, and later with Egypt and India. The focus for Trump at this G7 was clearly to build regional support to make his deal with Iran stick.
It creates a possibility of a game changer.
A game changer in that it binds regional players to the success of the peace agreement and creates incentive for Iran to be a better actor in the future. But also because the end of the fighting in Iran frees up U.S. political, financial, and military resources to support Ukraine in its battle with Russia.
I referenced the discussions we had on Ukraine, on Lebanon, and the change in tone with respect to Ukraine, the change in orientation, a more realistic, in our view, expectation of where this war was going to go, and the position against Russia, the tightening of sanctions against Russia, the ability to provide additional defensive support for Ukraine, which was discussed in some detail.
Discussed in some detail and then outlined a series of measures to strengthen Ukraine's hand, with the G7 leaders agreeing to supply Ukraine with air defense and long-range military capabilities to ensure it has the energy and fuel it needs if this war persists into winter, and even the potential of giving Ukraine access to critical weapons licenses so it can expand its military production. David Cochran, CBC News, Evian, France.
The number of people living in Canada continues to fall. StatsCan says our country's total population has fallen for the third quarter in a row to just over 41,400,000 people. The CBC's Anis Haidari reports.
Canada's population is down again. About 55,000 fewer people live in this country as of April 1st. The latest numbers from Statistics Canada come just a few months after reports that the population dropped last year, too.
This is unprecedented in Canadian history. We're now down a cumulative 234,000 from a population perspective.
One factor, fewer babies in the first 3 months of this year. 155 more people died in Canada than were born across the country. But immigration, and less of it, also a big piece. About 20% fewer permanent immigrants to Canada compared to the same time last year. Non-permanent residents, hundreds of thousands fewer in the first quarter. And there are economic factors to a population slowdown.
Business investment is quite weak to negative at this point in time. And, traditionally, to absorb immigration, you need business investment to be positive because that's how you create jobs.
International students also a likely part of the drop in BC and Ontario. Both provinces saw more foreign workers and students leave compared to how many permanent residents arrived. Some economists have connected that to the federal government's steep cut to student visas that began in 2024. For many experts looking at all the economic numbers and taking Canada's shrinking population into account, this all may indicate Canada isn't in a recession. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
The Liberal government's Bail and Sentencing Reform Act is now law. The sweeping changes are meant to keep repeat and violent offenders behind bars for longer. Ashley Burke has the details.
A new law to crack down on crimes that have Canadians worried.
Whether that's auto theft or home invasion, whether it's extortion, whether it is trafficking, or whether it is assault or sexual assault.
The law takes aim at those accused of repeated and violent crimes. It makes it harder for them to get bail and easier to spend more time behind bars for serious crimes.
This legislation sends a message that, hey, victims are important.
Police associations in all provinces and territories called for this. Demands grew after Ontario Provincial Police Officer Greg Pierce-Challa was killed in 2022 while responding to a vehicle in a ditch. He was fatally shot by a man out on bail.
The average person sees that a police officer could be murdered in those circumstances, then how's it safe for them? So I think that's caused that immediate visceral reaction.
The Conservatives didn't block the bill but say it doesn't go far enough.
None of these small steps have proven to work. We need wholesale bail reform.
It's political pandering to the fears of the public at its worst.
This defense lawyer calls the law unnecessary and says jails are already overcrowded.
Where are they planning on putting these people that are charged with offences and have not been found guilty and are presumed innocent?
Ontario's premier says he plans to build more jails.
They keep throwing people in jail. That'd be great, keeping these terrible people off the streets and terrorizing neighborhoods. It's getting really bad.
Right now, there aren't any national numbers that show how many people are committing crimes while out on bail. The government is now offering provinces and territories money to be able to provide that data so they can measure if the legislation is working. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canadian soccer fans are gearing up for their team's next World Cup game in Vancouver. And for many of Team Canada players, the city holds a special place in their hearts. The CBC's John Hernandez has that story.
It's a light mood to start the first practice of the week for Team Canada, but all of these players know what's at stake come Thursday.
In camp, we're solely focused on winning games and putting the best foot forward for this country.
Players took to the pitch at their UBC training center, having already caught a glimpse of FIFA fever in Vancouver. Surrey-born Joel Waterman is among players who are close to home.
I'm only an hour from my hometown, and this is obviously the province where I'm from, and I have immense pride in representing those people that are from here and in those communities.
For 22-year-old Nico Seeger, Thursday's game will be a full circle moment. The Burnaby-born player worked as a Team Canada ball boy at BC Place in 2019.
I just want to enjoy the moment. I don't want to think too deep into it. It's a stadium I grew up going to, watching the Whitecaps.
And there are also Whitecaps alumni on the team. Ali Ahmed was a big part of the soccer club's historic 2025 season.
This is my home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this building, if it wasn't for Whitecaps, if it wasn't for this city.
Saturday's massive World Cup crowds are likely a sign of what's to come when Team Canada plays Qatar on Thursday. TransLink says SkyTrain ridership to BC Place was the busiest it's been since the Olympics, while fans flooded pedestrian plazas like the Granville Strip. These players eager to see Canadian colors take over.
You know, we love seeing our fans and the streets filled and Canadian red jerseys everywhere. That's what we want out of this country, and that's what we're kind of building this for.
As it stands right now, all of the teams in Canada's group are tied in the standings, which makes a win on Thursday just that much more important if the team wants to move on in the tournament. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The sport of high rocks is growing in the region, and PEI is hosting its first official high rocks event this July. The fitness race is a chance for athletes to make the Atlantic Championships. Gwyneth Egan explains.
2, 1, here we go! The High Rocks Atlantic Series is coming to PEI for the first time this summer. It's a competition that's also a race. It combines running and fitness challenges. The PEI event isn't a full-length High Rocks race, but it gives people on PEI the chance to try out the sport and compete for a spot in the Atlantic Championships.
It's certainly growing. It started in Europe and then expanded to North America. So with more events in North America, there's definitely more interest across the board.
A full High Rocks race includes 1 kilometer of running, followed by 1 workout station. That's repeated 8 times. The races and the style of training have been growing in popularity.
We'll see kids getting involved with the sport, teams starting to train in this style, not necessarily training for a race, but using this type of approach. And then we also are seeing a lot of interest in older adult populations.
Topic says she knows of at least 50 people who traveled from PEI to Ottawa to compete in the race there in May. Curran Shoemaker is one of them. He says having a local event here on PEI is a great thing.
Anything that comes closer here is better. It can be hard to get into some of the High Rocks races, so the closer it is here, the easier and more accessible it becomes for people, and great thing for your health and fitness. I use it as an escape almost. Looking forward to the race gives you something to work towards, you build. I think it's pretty critical to have something like that to look forward to, and this is a great outlet for it.
With more gyms introducing High Rocks style training, some are hopeful that the sport will grow even more on PEI.
I'm hoping that it kind of creates that hype between gyms so that we can have maybe some local competition before you can go into bigger competitions.
At CrossFit 782, Ives is gearing up for the competition on July 4th. He says spots have filled up quickly, and the top 5 finishers in each category will get to go on to the Atlantic Championships in Nova Scotia. Gwyneth Egan, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Quite a workout. Well, that is it for us tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.